All right. So now we are going to dive into the animation stage of this. So as per usual, we put down the base node and we are going to select animation as our department layer. And again, we are going to work on the 7 shots. And again, if we want to set up all of these, we can just sort of select all of them like that. And the shot should be loaded in here, all the geometry and stuff like that. So for animation, we are going to animate 2 things. We are going to animate the boats a little bit, and we are going to animate the butterfly. And so we can start off with the boat. And for this, we could do as we normally do. We do all the animation, and then we set this output to export, and all is well. But what if we want to export the butterfly animation and the boat animations separately? Well, there is a way we can do that. And so we talked about before how we can work inside of these nodes. But there is actually another feature as well. And so this is this local layer break, which means that it will ignore everything above when it exports. And so we can utilize this. If we click that, then when this exports, it will only take whatever has changed here. All right. So another thing we can do is we can also override the where we are going to save these. So this we have previously just used this main folder to export. You can open that up and you will see the assets that exist. And here you can select the output, and so now whatever we do will come as a separate export that's called boat. And so how do we set this up? Well, first of all, we need another one for the butterfly. So we're gonna add one of those too. All right, and this one is use the export, and we're gonna do butterfly for that one. Obviously, we need to animate it per shot. And so what is going to happen here is that when this USD thing is exported, basically this one will be disabled. And so everything else that we see is going to be exported. When the other one exports, when the boats export, well, then this one is going to be disabled. And because we have this ignore above, it will basically be as this. And so we can utilize that. We're going to go into this boat here, and here we're going to do an X-form edit. And we are just going to animate this further away boat a little bit. Like so. And we can do set or create here, and we're going to append. The idea is here we're just going to do an expression here for rocking it back and forth. So we can do sin $f times maybe 5. And so yeah, so that has a little bit of movement, and I can put this to real-time playback by skipping frames, and then we can see it, really get a feel for how it's going to move. Now, you could probably make something a little bit more advanced than this, but I think this will do for now. All right, so the boat animation here is isolated into only this export. And when that exports, it will also ignore whatever is above, which means that we are free to add whatever stuff in here as we want. And so to do that, we need the butterfly, first of all. And so we can go into our publish history here, and we can find the butterfly asset and copy path, and we're going to lay it down as a sublayer. And so this copies to the clipboard for the simple reason that otherwise it may end up, anywhere. But when you copy paste, or when you paste this, you can just click and then paste, and it will show up exactly there. And so we'll add this here. And so the benefit now by using sublayers to import stuff that is in the system is that it will already get the name that it had during export. And this is important because we don't want people to manually have to set print paths all the time for stuff that's in the system. So this is why we use the sublayer. Yeah, so there is. All right, so if you would have a rig in Maya, for instance, and you would animate it over there, you would do the same thing as we did with the cameras, that you would put down a reference node and load all the animations in. Another way is to animate it in Houdini. And full disclosure here, I am rubbish at rigging and a terrible animator, but I wanted to do a setup to show you how animations would be done. And so this is where the demo rig comes in. And so to install that, we can go to File and Import, Houdini Digital Asset, and we go to our job folder. And if we look at in the utility folder, you'll find this OTL, which is called demo rig. And now we can install that. But once you've done that, it will show up here in gray under demo rig. And the demo rig is, it's a digital asset that you would set up and make. And right, and so how this would work is that in a completely different scene, someone would have created this demo rig. And the way it works right now is that you connect it and it will automatically look for butterfly specifically. And if you jump inside, you will have controllers, and you will have a transform that you can animate. And if you want to jump up a step, you have the sort of full setup of the rig. And it's very, very super simple. Like I said, I'm a terrible rigger. There is much better solution in Houdini for this, but I just wanted something simple here. We're bringing in the asset and making a skeleton. And then we have some poses for movements for the idle body. We have some poses, so depending on how the butterfly is standing or sitting or flying. And we have some wing movements that are slow or fast or have full range and stuff like that. And then these can blend together in different ways and retime. And so these are connected into this place here. And I'm going to show you how it works. I'm just going to hide everything else, hide all other objects here so we can see what is going on. All right, so by default, this I can put this on play here so we can see how it behaves. So first we have an idle pose. So I'm just going to set this to, and so this is the full idle, and then we have this pose, which is more of a sitting pose. If he's sitting on an edge, you want the butt to stick up a little bit. And then we have sort of the full flying pose. Next we have the moving pose, and it's exactly the same poses. And so we have this blend between anim and move. So we're gonna put this fully to move. And so, so here we may want to set, a different position or not. For example, if we're going to start the shot off where he's sort of idle, maybe we want the idle position to be like that, and then as he starts flying, the pose will change. We also have different wings or different wing animations, and so the first one is this very struggling, kind of on the ground sort of thing. We have this, which is also a more idle one that slowly is moving. And we have this, which is sort of full range flaps. And then we have that, but faster with a few extra flickers in it. And so you can basically blend this. So he's on the ground, and as you fly up, he starts flapping faster and going into the fly position. So on top of that, you can sort of speed this down or slow it up, speed it up or slow it down as you want. And so you can make whatever kind of movement you want. And so these are the controls you have. And then you have this transform, which allows you to sort of keyframe where he's going and stuff like that. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. So yeah, so the benefit is that once we have this, we can reuse it per shot without doing much. First shot here, there is actually no butterfly in there. And so we're not going to have any butterfly in there. So I'm going to just kind of move this over here instead. And so it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a grass plane here. And so we're going to move him over here. Do a little bit of a preview window, set the render cam here. Okay, so let's move this bad boy. It's going to be somewhere here. Sometimes this can be a little bit hard to see what you're doing. You can press this little star and put this to sort of smooth shaded. So that can be good to know. And I'm just gonna bring that back. Essentially, this one he's like struggling to get up here, and it's a fairly close up. And we are going to put this fully to the idle position. And we are not going to actually render this geometry that we see. It is meant for casting shadows and sort of blending in and stuff like that. So it's important that we don't get any intersection with it, because it's basically going to be a shadow catcher. And for the wing movements, now we're going to add that. And so we're going to select the same moving pose, and we're going to go all the way here. And so we're going to put the wing animation to this struggling pose. And I'm just going to lower the speed of that. All right, so I think we're pretty happy with this animation for this first shot. And so you would basically just do the same for all shots, and that would take some time to do. So I'm just like a TV chef here. I am just going to put in some pre-made ones. All right, and so this just follows this same thing here. Maybe in animation you also need to adjust the camera. That doesn't work. And so for this shot here, the sitting shot, there's supposed to be a sort of a close-up on the boat, and you can put down an edit camera. We are going to point this to the render cam and say that that is the one we want to change, and then we essentially turn on what we want to override. And we want to change the transform of the camera here. Maybe we want to adjust the focal length as well. And you can have this when you initialize, you can have it read all the parameters from the USD file as well, so you can see what it is. And so in this case, the focal length is 16. It's gonna boost it to like 28 or something like that. And I'm gonna move my camera a little bit. And one word of warning here is that if you you have the option here to set all parameters to set and create, and you don't want to do that. Or if you create a brand new camera that is not in edit mode, that will be the default. So what happens if you do that is that if I would create a new camera instead, and we'll point this to the render cam as well. Now you will see that the image plane is gone. And this is because in the view tab, there is this background image slot. And that is no longer being set, because that is being set by the base node. And since we are, we're basically overriding the background image slot with nothing. So if you do this, you have to remember to put that to do nothing, and then it will come back. The better way always is to use it in this edit mode. Right, so if we summarize what we've done here, we are working in the animation context, and we have imported our butterfly look dev. We have set up animation per shot with this digital asset rig, and we've updated a camera. And for our exports within this output, we have added a small animation to one of the boats, and we have set this so this will come out as a boat export instead of the main. And this layer break ensures that nothing above this will be included in this export. For the butterfly, it is set to butterfly, and it will include everything that is above, except for whatever this is, because this one will be disabled during export. Right, and we go to our submitter. So maybe in this, I'll just call this boat. This is not something you have to do. And we'll call this butterfly. These names are just for you to remember what it is. And in the selection here, we can select what is coming out. So for the boat, we want to have it so it renders all, everything, right, for all the contexts. But for the outputs, we uncheck everything, and we just select that the boat is going to be there. And for the butterfly, we are not going to include the first shot. So we can drag here, select all of those, no render outputs, and for the USD outputs we just want the butterfly. So now that you have this, if you want to update something and just export the boat animation, for instance, if you change that, you can click this preview here, and you can see that only the boat animation is going to come out. And similarly with the butterfly animation, it will just come out for the shots that we selected. If you do want to output everything, you can use this one above here, and it will take all of the enabled blocks. All right, so that took about 1 minute to export everything. And if we go to the publish history here, we can check that everything came out all right. And so there should be a butterfly and boat for each shot. So that concludes the animation part. There are lots of other ways to split animations as well. For instance, the way we this layer break that we did for the boats. In theory, you could do that and then add a whole new another network beneath it, and move this butterfly up here instead. That could also be a scenario. And we're going to dive into that in the last video for some tips and tricks and stuff.